What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I know it's been quite a while since we went ahead and put emphasis on Project CB9, aka the 1993 Honda Accord EX station wagon in Arcadia Green Pearl, and we've got a few issues going on with this car. So issue number one, we got an overheating cooling issue, so we're going to take a close look at that. And issue number two, we got some check engine lights that's going on with this car, and it's affecting some drivability, so we need to go and take a look at that. And number three, a lot of you guys have been asking what's going on with the K-swap for Project CB9, so we'll go ahead and take a closer look into that as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Here behind me we got Project CB9, and we definitely haven't forgot about this car. So right now I'm dealing with an overheating issue. So essentially, if I'm sitting at a traffic light, I'll start to see a temperature gauge run up to about 75–80%, and then when I'm back in motion, that temperature gauge will go back down to about 50%. So we're going to go ahead and do some diagnosis today. So I'm hoping that it's a radiator fan issue, and if it's not a radiator fan issue, it might be a water pump issue, so hopefully that's not the case. But without further ado, let's go ahead and diagnose the overheating issue on Project CB9. So first things first, this is an engine harness connector that connects to the cooling fans on an Accord CB7. So I cut this off at the junkyard on a CB7 that was about to be crushed. So basically we have an easy way to plug in to the cooling fans themselves. And I went ahead and used some wire nuts and some scrap wire, basically speaker wire. So we're going to go ahead and pop the hood on Project CB9, unplug the cooling fans, plug this harness in, and then we'll go ahead and make the contact positive on the battery and negative on the battery or the body. Let's go ahead and start the testing on Project CB9. Okay, now the location of the wire and harness connectors for the cooling fans, starting on the driver's side, right in front of the alternator right here, you've got this connector. So basically that is the cooling fan on the left side of the car. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, plug in the jumper harness, and then we'll extend the wires over to the battery over here, and then touch the positive on the positive and negative on the battery post or the body. And if this left cooling fan kicks on, then we know it's good. And then we'll go ahead and repeat the procedure for the passenger side. So let me go ahead and show you the passenger side connector, which is a little bit more trickier. Okay, so on the passenger side, the connector is actually buried a little further south. So I don't know if you can see down here, that's the connector we need to actually disconnect, connect the jumper harness to. So I gotta reach down there pretty much and basically sense by hand. So it's gonna be tough, but you know, we've got some radiator hoses in the way, you got some AC components in the way, so I'm gonna do my best. So let's go ahead and start the diagnosis on the cooling fans. Okay, got my jumper harness plugged into the driver's side cooling fan, and basically here's the exposed wires right here. So I'm going to carefully connect to the battery there on the passenger side, and we'll see if this cooling fan kicks on or not. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see that, but you can definitely hear that that cooling fan is functioning properly. So the driver's side cooling fan is functioning. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect, and we'll try out the passenger side. Okay, went ahead and removed the expansion tank out of my way. So I went ahead and reached my arm down there, grabbed some wires, and sure enough, look what I found. Found a wiring harness right there that matches perfectly with the wiring harness that we cut at the junkyard. And there's the wiring harness we need to plug into. So hopefully this is an easy fix. I believe it is, so we'll go ahead and plug this thing in and cross our fingers, and hopefully that's the culprit. I might as well check the coolant while we're here. Ooh, radiator does look low. Let's go ahead and fill some coolant in there. Okay, let's go ahead and touch base on the check engine light codes that Project CB9 is putting out right now. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do check engine lights on OBD1 car. So let me go ahead and show you guys what's going on here. All right, every car is going to be different, but specifically on the 4th gen Honda Accord 90-93, you got this blue plug right here over on the passenger kick panel. So what you want to do with this blue plug is basically want to jump it. So right here I got a paper clip, I bent it, so basically I can just go ahead and insert this paper clip into the blue clip. So let me go ahead and insert it into the blue clip, and then we'll take the next step. Okay, so I got the jumper paper clip into the harness right there, and the next step, we're going to go ahead and take the key, put it in the ignition, and then turn it to the 2 position. And then we need to go ahead and count the check engine light blinks. So let me show you what's going on with that. Okay, so once I go ahead and insert the key into ignition on number 2 port, we need to go ahead and place special attention on that check engine light right there. We need to go ahead and count the blinks. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, we got a short blink, that's number 1. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 40 something. 1, 2, 3. So I got code 1 and code 43 check engine light codes. So that's basically how you tell what's going on with the OBD1 car right there. So you got long blinks, which is basically the first number, and if they're short blinks, that's the secondary number. So with that first one, since we have only 1 blink, that's a number 01. And then with the second number, you know, we got 4 long blinks and 3 short blinks after that. So that's 43 right there. 01 and 43 is our check engine light codes. Let's go ahead and take a look into that. Alright, so I hope that helped out some folks that didn't know how to run OBD1 codes, but that's basically the procedure to doing so. Go ahead and take the key out of ignition, and then go ahead and remove the jumper harness right there. Alrighty guys, a topic that everyone's been waiting for, the K-swap for Project CB9. Now essentially what's going on with that is basically I'm fighting with some finances right now among some various items, and I've estimated in between 3,000 to 4,000 in additional parts in order to get the K-swap complete for Project CB9. It is not a cheap task in order to convert an older Honda to a K-swap. Just a little FYI. So let me go ahead and show you guys what's going on with some of the finances going on. Some of it's good, some of it's going to be bad, and there might be some big news for this channel coming up, so let me go ahead and show you guys what's happening here. Okay, back in April, as many of you all know, I went ahead and picked up a 2024 Honda Civic Type R FL5, and this is my 45th birthday / midlife crisis present to myself. I mean, this is more of a I want type of purchase, you know. I want to reward myself for all my hard work, and you know, I think this is the last generation of the FL5 Type R being gas powered, so I wanted to go ahead and scoop up one while I could before Honda ruins it with full electric or hybrid models. So I'm very happy with this car so far, and you know, I'm able to transport my parents, you know, comfortably and safely when I go down to North Carolina to visit. So that's a big plus, being that this car is 4-door. So this was a major purchase. You know, I paid MSRP for the car, but it's still expensive, so that's number 1 right here. Okay, the second thing isn't these 2 cars right here, the RSX Type S or Project CB9, but it's right behind here. I know it's an empty field right now. Now, when I was house shopping in 2015, I don't want to bore you with that, but I was basically looking for a place to build a garage shop. Now, when I moved in here, keep in mind there was about 13 or 16 large oak trees that had to be cut down, and I actually had to hire someone with an excavator to rip out the tree stumps, because you can't grind tree stumps if you're putting a concrete slab in place. Now, as you can see, I've got plenty of space right now, so I'm estimating 28 foot wide, 44 foot deep for a garage shop. Now, it's not gonna be the prettiest thing, you know, to match the house with stucco, so I'm most likely gonna put a steel building in place. So this is my dream right here. I've always dreamt of a garage shop with at least 1 car lift, so I think I'm gonna make this happen. I'm not sure if I'm able to afford, you know, both a concrete slab and a building, so I think what my initial plan is, I think I'm gonna do the concrete slab first and then put the building in place maybe 6 months or a year later. It just depends on steel prices right now. So I think this is going to open up a lot of possibilities of this channel, having a garage shop, you know, and number 2, we can actually put some storage, you know, for Project CB9 and RSX Type S, rather than keeping these things, you know, outside in the elements and having to cover these things up and whatnot, keeping out of the UV rays, trying to keep rain off them and whatnot. But I'm just not a big fan of keeping cars outside because it just tears them up. So anyways, this is the biggest financial drain that I'm looking at right now, is a concrete slab. So the plan is 28 foot wide, 44 foot deep, 4-inch thick slab, reinforced with rebar. And then we're basically going to decide where the car lift's going to be. It's probably going to be in the front corner right here, and we're going to beef up the slab with some additional rebar and some concrete thickness. And then we're going to have footers going on the full perimeter. You know, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but that's just the plan right here. Now, most folks will dream of having a swimming pool in their backyard. Not me. I've always dreamt of a garage shop, so I think this is going to happen. And you know, I'm 45 years old, so if I don't do this now, I probably will never do this. You know, as we get older, I'm not going to have the ambition, you know, to start wrenching on cars, so I might as well do this. So I think this is just a perfect opportunity to go ahead and get this thing done. I mean, I paid, I don't know, $3,500 to take these trees out and have the stumps ripped out. So, you know, I might as well go ahead and just proceed through it. So that's the biggest plans for this channel right here, a garage shop build. You know, that way we'll have a place to wrench on these cars, have some storage, and, you know, have some better content being recorded as well, you know, as opposed to being outside in the driveway all the time. So that is basically what's going on here with the financial drain. Okay, so the K-swap engine is chilling in my garage still. Only thing I've done differently is I've actually had to remove the exhaust manifold right here. So almost had a close call with FL5 Type R. I was backing into the garage and my rear tire actually hit the engine stand right here, and it started to actually turn the motor a little bit like this, and I caught it just in time. I looked at my side view mirror, and literally this exhaust manifold was about maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch away from the rear quarter panel on FL5. So I would have been really upset if I scratched the crap out of this car. So I went ahead and just basically removed the exhaust manifold just in case. This engine's kind of on my way right now. I wish I could basically get a stand and just basically put this thing on the ground with some wheels, but you know, this works for the time being. The only thing we've done differently, you know, I put the the cover on top of the motor, and I haven't done much since I did some video coverage. You know, we did the wiring harness and stuff like that. Some other things that people have been telling me is the water pump housing. I believe that's kind of in this vicinity right here. That can't be used, so whenever you put a new water pump from a US domestic, has to be a US domestic water pump, because this JDM one is specific to Japan. And I believe there's also something with the tensioner right here, the belt tensioner, so that might be an issue as well. But you know, I'm still learning as I go with these old K-swaps, but I just don't know exactly what's going to happen with the K24 swap series right here. Okay, now open up the engine bay of Project CB9. Obviously we got the H22 that we did some extensive coverage when we did the motor swap on this car, in addition to the 5-speed conversion. Now the motor's running really good right now. I've controlled the oil leak issue that was on the back side of the block, so I mean, it's not leaking oil much anymore since I went ahead and did the cam cap sealing up there at the top right there where the cams are at. Anyways, let me go ahead and tell you guys what I think needs to happen if we were to proceed with the K-swap on this car. So start with the wiring harness over here on the driver's side. Basically need to unplug these harnesses, and you basically need to pull all the wiring into the back of the engine right there through the grommet. And that's pretty tough to do. I tried to do that on a junkyard car, getting an entire body harness for someone, and I couldn't do it even with the dashboard removed. I believe the radiator is going to have to be switched out for a different radiator unit. Obviously the air box is not going to work for this car. It's going to need a K-series air box and air tube. And then same thing on this side. You got the body wiring harness that connects to the engine right there, and these harnesses need to be pulled into the cab of the vehicle. That's pretty tough to do. I mean, I tried to do that on a junkyard car and I just couldn't do it. I don't know if it's just beyond my capability, if there's some special feature, no idea, but these forced inner cords are built really well, and it's hard to work on sometimes because things are just engineered so well, and sometimes it's just hard to get access to. Okay, there's another thing down right here, which is the front cross member. I think the front cross member of this car needs to be removed and put a traction bar into place, so that's a few $100s right there. The shifter cables, I don't think the shifter cables from the 03 to 07 Honda Accord is going to work from the 5-speed car that got the junkyard, so those shifter cables need to be replaced. Now, one of the, if not the biggest expense on a K-swap is the engine management system right there. So you're more than likely going to need K-Pro, which is $1,000 plus. I haven't checked prices recently, but I think that's the ballpark of what they're in right now in order to make that engine run in 1990s Honda. So that's one major expense right there. And obviously you're gonna need a new shifter. Not sure exactly which one you're gonna need. Some shifter cables that are interactive with that shifter that will connect to the TSX 6-speed transmission. And then after you pull the body harness through the grommets, you're gonna need to connect that to a body harness adapter in order to make that K-series, you know, compatible with the vehicle wiring. And on top of that, when you unplug the ECU, I believe there's a few wires you actually need to cut and splice into in order to make that thing work. So that just doesn't give me the warm fuzzies, because if you want to revert to a stock situation, it's going to be tough. You know, I'm not a fan of cutting vehicle wires, but I mean, understand this is all custom and stuff, so, you know, that's got me worried as well. And another large expense in the installation process is the motor mounts for a K engine to go into Project CB9. So I believe Hasport has developed those motor mounts, and I think the prices are around $750 last time. And what you need to do is basically you need to go ahead and take this motor mount right here on the passenger frame rail, cut it off, and you have to re-weld a specific mount. So I do have a welder. I haven't learned how to use it yet. I need to go ahead and do some rust repair on, you know, the RSX Type S right there in the lower quarter panel, but just haven't gotten there yet. So, you know, as I said, this is not reversible if you're going to try and put a H series or an F22 back into your, you know, 4th gen Honda Accord if you always want to revert back. I don't know why you would want to revert back, but just in case the K series, you know, wasn't your thing, it's going to be tough, you know, with the wiring, the motor mounts being reversed and stuff. So got a lot of concerns right there doing the K swap. So I don't know if you guys remember the history of this H22, but this is from a wrecked Honda Prelude. I think that car had 138,000 miles. Right now, compression is about 20% less on cylinders 1 and 2, so I'm going to go ahead and do a valve last job on this. And I'm going to show you guys the process of how to adjust valves on a dual overhead cam H22 in a few weeks here. So hopefully that will solve the compression issues that I've got. But, you know, cylinders 3 and 4 are perfect. But we'll go ahead and do a valve lash, and hopefully that solves the situation. But, you know, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, this was a lot of work doing this H22 swap in Project CB9. So, I mean, this might need some tweaks right here with the valve adjustment. But, you know, I'm not trying to develop excuses, but just trying to tell you guys the rationale of what's going on with, you know, my finances and things of that nature. But dropping an extra $3,000 or $4,000 in parts in this car, I don't have a shop in order to get this thing, you know, fully fabricated and stuff. So I think the garage shop is going to be much more important rather than doing a K swap on a car that runs just fine. So hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from, but that's the situation at hand. Okay, in regards to the JDM K24, I spent about an hour at the engine importer about a year ago picking this motor out for this car. So I think this is a great candidate. It's got low miles, it's very clean, you know, Honda OEM oil filter, golden oil and whatnot, but I'm just not ready to sell this thing yet. I mean, I've got a friend that is actually interested in using this motor for his BMW 318i, but we'll cross that bridge if I get to it. But I just don't know if Project CB9 is going to get this motor or if we're going to proceed with keeping the H22, so I'm kind of on the fence of what's going on. So I think the most important thing is getting the garage shop built, because, you know, I've been procrastinating this project for years on end. So I need to go ahead and apply for a permit and agree on a price with the concrete contractor first. Alrighty guys, well, most of you guys are probably disappointed with the news of the K-swap in Project CB9, but I hope you guys can fully understand my financial situation with the Honda Civic Type R FL5 and the potential of the garage shop that's hopefully going to be constructed in my backyard. Now, if indeed the garage shop comes to fruition, I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted on all the documentation and construction process involved in order to get a garage shop built, you know, in my backyard. Anyhow, we got a lot more updates coming for this channel regarding the Honda Civic Type R FL5, the Toyota Tacoma, Project CB9, and hopefully the garage shop. So hope you guys can stay tuned. Anyhow, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.